Hello and welcome to Wednesday night's Niall Fraser show. We are here live at 9 o'clock. Only 50 viewers, guys. What is this? What is this? This is rookie numbers. Rookie numbers. We've got, I've just got so many tabs open here today. Absolutely a sea of tabs because we've got a lot of stuff to go through in this Scottish Nonce Party special, number 21 of the Niall Fraser show. And it's going to be a rough one. If you know a lot about the SNP, this might be regurgitated information. As I'm sure a lot of you in the trenches fighting the SNP for a long time, you'll know about all this stuff. So I apologise to you, but it's never so bad to go over it all and sort of compact it into a special. Anyway, for new viewers, people aren't aware of all this stuff. I hope to open your eyes to the SNP and just the history of this paedophilic type cult that seems to run Scotland. Anyway, we can't start the show without the intro music. Get the broadcast shared, get it reposted, get it liked, blah blah blah. Here comes the intro music because you're not going to want to miss this one, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen, Wednesday night's Niall Fraser Show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Over 120 viewers before the end of the intro music. This is a new record, ladies and gentlemen. We're accelerating. We've got 5 people on YouTube watching the new, but hundreds over on X. Hello to the YouTube bros. Give it a like. Give it a comment. Get the comments in, because we're going to start off pretty quick this evening. And you know, normally when I do a broadcast, I put my phone down. My phone's just been ringing straight away. As soon as I start the broadcast, phone's just absolutely blowing up. Probably people telling me, Niall, don't do the broadcast. Don't do it. My door's going to bust straight off its hinges. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wednesday night hump day. We're motoring on right on through February, aren't we? Anyway, we want to start off with a bang today. So I did make a video that I posted on YouTube and I posted on X. I posted it under X. You can check it on the profile. It's called Survey Says. Survey Says. Well, the survey says that the SNP should be called the Scottish Nonce Party. That's what they should be called. And we're going to go, I've just got so many tabs open. I can see them here in front of me. And, you know how when you open so many tabs, they become super, super small. Well, that's what it's like on my screen here, ladies and gentlemen. So we start off today with a video. The video that I produced. Well, in fact, we'll start with a report in Scotland. So you may, our eagle-eyed, the people who pay attention in Scottish politics will know of the sordid sex surveys that went out to Scottish schools in 2021. And, just asking a whole myriad of really intimate, really private questions. And we'll go through the survey. We've got it in the PDF. We'll go through it all. And again, I made a big video about it, but I want you to see with your own eyes what is in this document. And it's, it really got my goat the other day when it came to light that the information from these sex surveys is now going to be harvested by external researchers. And for the life of me, I don't know what research they're conducting if they need such data. But we will, I'm sure we'll see in time to come. We've got some comments coming in. Jonathan Sims, how was your Burns night? Sort of uneventful, Jonathan. Thanks for asking. Here we go. Glenn Jackson, here we go. Let's get this show on the road. And let's do that, Glenn. Let's get this show on the road. So this was the report on Scotland, the segment on Reporting Scotland just the other night. And it prompted me to make this video today. So we'll play the report first. And this is from Mark the Hibby, Marco Polo on X, who does incredible work. Just getting all the video clips of all the news segments that are pertinent here in Scotland. So if you don't follow him, well, you're missing it. So let's get Reporting Scotland and let's see what they're saying about these sex surveys.
Data from a controversial school survey which asked pupils about their relationships, sexual activity and their mental health has been advertised for use by external researchers without the explicit consent of children or their parents. The Scottish Government's Health and Wellbeing Census in 2021 asked highly personal questions, raising concerns among parents and education experts. Despite a commitment not to share the answers of more than 130,000 children, the data is now being made available to approve academic researchers. Our education correspondent, Lucy Adams, has this report.
I think it's where it says the local authority will not tell anybody your answers, not your teacher or your family.
Sonia's children were some of the tens of thousands asked to take part in the survey. She was one of the few who opted out, but some parents didn't even know it was happening.
My biggest concern is that parents didn't actively consent to their children participating. And when children did participate, they weren't told the truth about what was happening with their data. To the extent they were told it wouldn't be shared with anyone. But now it's being advertised to external researchers by a Scottish Government charity called Research Data Scotland.
The questions were tailored to different age groups, with pupils in S4 and above asked about things like friendships, mental health, and alcohol use. But there was one question in particular that worried parents. That asked children, how much, if any, sexual experience have you had? With the multiple choice questions beneath it, starting with touching on top of clothes and progressing to much more graphic descriptions of different types of sex.
Children were told at the start of the survey that their answers wouldn't be shared with anybody, but now the whole data set is being advertised by the Scottish Government to external researchers.
No child and no parent has been asked for permission to pass the data on to other people. Now that's unethical. That's not to imply that individual researchers are unethical, but the point is that the ethical protection is there for a good reason, because sadly some people will get access to the data and will abuse the confidentiality, the trust that should be there.
The UK Information Commissioner's Office raised serious concerns about the way the data was gathered, stored and transferred, and said potential harms may be high. It told us it has engaged with local authorities and the Scottish Government to protect the data and continues to monitor this. The Scottish Government said it was clear the data would only be used for statistics and research purposes. It said all participants in the survey had the opportunity to skip questions they did not wish to answer, and councils were responsible for providing advice about opting out. With increasing concerns about children's safety online, parents are questioning how and why such private information about tens of thousands of children could have been gathered without proper consent, and what happens now. Lucy Adams, reporting Scotland.
Well, didn't that just fill you with dread? Why are they asking pupils such intimate questions about their sex life when presumably under the age of 16 they've not had any sexual activity at all? And see, I'm going to play my response to these surveys just very shortly, but this should spark a giant class action lawsuit against the Scottish Government. How is it possible that the Scottish Government thinks it is, how do they think that it's reasonable in order to put this data out for basically tender for any research group to take a hold of? And like the guy was saying there, it could be used. The anonymity could be abused. And we're going to go through the survey after my response, but there is an identifier on these surveys, because you're asked to fill in what's known as an SCN number, and anyone that sort of went through high school in the last 20 years, 30 years, whatever it is, they will know what SCN number is. It's Scottish Candidate Number. It's what the SQA use. So in essence, your name's attached just via number. So it's not, the cloak of anonymity is not there. Anyway, I'm going to play you my response, and then we're going to get into the survey itself, and then we're going to look at all the names in the SNP that have got up to let's just say less than what is expected of them. Behaviour which is reprehensible. So we'll look into all the names that I've got on my list here. And then we'll have a wee deep dive into LGBT Youth Scotland, its checkered history. And then we will also look at, an old activist group. An activist group called PIE. P-I-E. The Paedophile Information Exchange, which was started in Edinburgh. So, without further ado, I'm going to play you my survey. 200 plus people watching the do already. Absolutely astounding numbers for the first 10 minutes of the show, guys. We're probably going to go for a bit, well, as long as it takes, really, to get through this huge treasure trove of information. And we're going to go into the named person scheme. We're going to go into all these different things. And then we're going to arrive at a conclusion here. Right, so here is my response that I created today.
Scotland's notorious sex surveys are back in the news, and no in a good way. It's now been revealed that the information gathered from the survey is being advertised for use by external researchers. So in other words, the data gathered is up for sale. ScotGov in essence profiting by soliciting sexual information from minors right across Scotland. If you weren't aware of this survey that was sneakily titled as a health and wellbeing survey, this was issued to Scottish schools in 2021 to much public outrage because it asked pupils as young as 14 about their sexual experiences and history in graphic detail. This survey was incredibly allowed to go out to over 130,000 pupils across Scotland in some sick industrial sexual information gathering exercise by the Scottish Government. And last night, Reporting Scotland done a piece on the new revelations that the data gathered from these sordid surveys had been advertised for use by external researchers, and incredibly, their piece had blurred out the questions asked of pupils. You'll see the still here. So the questions were so graphic that the 6 o'clock news had to blur it out, but it's perfectly acceptable to ask these questions of children. How can this possibly be? Shouldn't the Scottish Government be absolutely ashamed of this? And what type of external research group would want to acquire this information in the first place? Something's deeply, deeply wrong in Scotland when it comes to child safeguarding. And whilst Reporting Scotland need to blur the graphic questions out, I don't. I'll put the images up for you to see and I'll read through them for you. If you read through the questionnaire, it all starts off very innocently, luring pupils in. How pressured or stressed do you feel by the schoolwork you have to do? Very innocent. What do you think you'll be doing as soon as you leave secondary education? Again, very innocent. Then, by the time you get to question 50, this is what you get. People have varying degrees of sexual experience. How much, if any, sexual experience have you had? And look at the answers we've got here. None. A small amount. Kissing, some intimate touching on top of clothes. Some experience, but no sexual intercourse. Touching intimate underneath the clothes, or without clothes on. More experiences, including oral sex, vaginal or anal sex, or prefer not to say. And these answers, they direct to other questions, depending on your response, where you get these types of follow-up questions. The most recent time we had penetrative vaginal sex, did you or the other person use any following to try and prevent pregnancy? A fertility app, withdrawal, pulling out, emergency contraception, or someone else, or you don't know? How old were you when you had sex for the first time? 13-year-old or younger, 14-year-old, 15, 16 or older, don't know or prefer not to say. I'll link the entire PDF of the survey in the description or the comments so you can see for yourself just how odd, just how weird and just how downright wrong it is to ask these questions of school pupils as young as 14. These are the types of questions that groomers and paedophiles would ask, quite frankly. So why is the Scottish Government asking them? And getting back to the issue that sparked these surveys, coming back into the news in the first place. The information from these surveys, the information from these very, very intimate, very private questions will be auctioned off by the Scottish Government. And I bet all the perverts on the planet will be putting bids in for it. Remember, over 130,000 pupils took this survey in the first place. Yet parents across Scotland, the parents of the children who have partook in these surveys should band together and sue the Scottish Government into oblivion for this breach of trust, selling off data like this, or even for the fact they've been subjected to this in the first place. And many parents had no idea about it at all. Remember this when the next Scottish election rolls round next year, that not all SNP voters are paedophiles, but all paedophiles are SNP voters. Do your own research and find out exactly who you are voting for.
Oh, well, what did you think of that, ladies and gentlemen? What did you think? And I mean, this is it's actually true what I'm saying here. Obviously, not all SNP voters are paedophiles. Obviously, Obviously, they're not all paedophiles. But all paedophiles are SNP voters, aren't they? And we'll go into what I think we should go into first, which is the sex survey itself. Right, and this was a bit that they pointed out on the news. Your local authority will collect answers from every child or young person who takes part. You will not be asked to provide your name, although we've already addressed the fact that you have to fill in your SCN number, your Scottish candidate number, which is a identifier. The local authority will not tell anybody your answers, not your teacher or your family. Of course, it's up to you if you want to talk to other people about your answers. So that's what they pointed out on the report in Scotland, that the fact that they told you straight up as you were answering the survey that nobody's going to be told about this. Your answers, nobody's going to be told about your answers, not the teacher or your family, anyone. But what they probably should have mentioned was, later on down the line, a few years down the track, we're just going to sell the information. And sell the information to whom exactly? But let's get to, that's what I mentioned in that video there. It all starts super innocent. Oh, how are you doing? We hope you're doing well at school. Is the homework workload too much? Are you stressed? How's your family life at home? And there we go. There's the place. Look, with an asterisk. Scottish candidate number is used to facilitate statistical analysis of survey results at schools, local authority, and national level. It's not used to identify individual pupils. It's not used to identify individual pupils, but it can be. So you type in your number, blah, blah, blah. So it all starts very tame. Some sentences about your school learning. I enjoy learning new things, blah, blah, blah. Getting an education is important to me, of course it is. But like I said, they lure you in. Well, these are the two questions I had in the video. They lure you in. And, you know, you'd think these pupils are like, I'm just doing a normal wee survey here. And then it just takes a dark turn. It just takes a dark turn at about question 50. And this is it in black and white, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to make it full screen. I'm going to take my mug off it, just so you can see for yourself. This is a PDF of exactly the same survey that went out. People have varying degrees of sexual experience. How much, if any, sexual experience have you had? None, small amount, some experience, more experience, including oral, vaginal, anal sex. I prefer not to say. So, if you had vaginal anal sex, let's go to question number 51. So, it's like a very dark choose your own adventure novel. You know, turn to page 50 if you make such a choice. Very dark indeed. Anyway, let's go on. Let's just read them all. The most recent time you had vaginal sex or anal penetrative sex, did you or the other person use a condom? And this is the thing. This is the thing with Scottish schools. Why is it? Why is it that every time they mention vaginal sex, the time served, normal mode of sex, why is it that they always mention anal sex alongside it? Why is that? Why is it? Would you like your children to be taught about anal sex when they're getting their sex education? Well, I certainly wouldn't want my child being taught about anal sex during their bloody sex education class. Anyway, the Scottish government, the requirements in education is that vaginal sex and anal sex are giving what is called equal billing. A 50-50 parity. Even though, I mean, if you probably look at the percentages, you're talking about, you know, maybe 5% of people we're assuming homosexual here that are having anal sex. So I'm sure I'm going to drink coffee there. So we're assuming that it's a hugely disproportionate number of people who are having anal sex. We're assuming it's homosexuals. Anyway, why is it given equal billing? Why is it given equal billing with vaginal sex? Well, it's just because this LGBTQ plus XYZ Wi-Fi password, it's in the curriculum that this sex education has to have both anal sex and vaginal sex on equal billing. And I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen, but if you were learning about anal sex when you were at school in a normal sex education class, like when I was back in primary school, well, one, it wasn't taught. Why is it not taught? Because it's not the normal mode of sex, is it? And more to the point, it's probably assumed that everyone's heterosexual. But anyway, sorry, it really annoys me that they have to be given equal billing. It really does annoy me. And you might think, oh, no, Niall, you've got it all wrong. They require it. No, I've not got it wrong. No, I've not got it wrong. And if your child was taught about anal sex, as kids across Scotland are, they would think it is the norm, especially if it's given 50-50, equal billing, equal parity. This is my point. It's not the norm. I think you'll find that anus is designed for exit only. I think you'll find. Anyway, I just had to get that off my back because it isn't the norm. But why is it promoted as the norm? Why? Anyway, let's move on. The most recent time you had penetrative vaginal sex, did you or the other person use anything to prevent the pregnancy? This is the one we've been, yes, no, don't know. Don't know, prefer not to say. And if you did, what did you use? And again, it's the choose your own adventure. You know, question 54 is only asked if you answered no to question 52. So again, this is what it was. Is, you know, I think the questions have appeared on screen one at a time to these pupils. So you answer yes to that one, this one appears. You answer no to this one, that one appears. That's the way I believe it's worked. But this sex survey, again, it's like a snooper's charter. It's like a groomer's charter. These are the types of questions. And believe it, this is applied to underagers. Underagers would have took this survey. Why are we asking these questions here? This is exactly what a groomer would ask. This is exactly what a paedophile would ask. So why is it acceptable? Why is it acceptable? Well, the answer is it's not. It absolutely is not acceptable. And this one as well. Like, you know, question 57 and 59 are only asked if the people answered yes. How old were you when you had sex for the first time? 13 year old or younger. What are they going to do with that information? What are they going to do with that information? What are these data harvesters going to do with this information? I don't want to know. I don't want to know, but I shouldn't have to ask that question. I shouldn't have to ask that question at all. When you had first had sex, would you personally say, I want it to happen earlier? I want it to happen at the time. You would rather have had it later. You did not ask yourself that. Did you use or drink alcohol or use drugs before you had sex for the first time? Again, it's 18 to drink alcohol. Well, we're asking what 13-year-olds, 13 to 16-year-olds, if they were using alcohol or drugs before they had sex for the first time. I mean, you can't be real here. You actually can't be real. I mean, honestly, guys, help me out here. Help me out. Anyway, I mean, I go back to the point. And I mean, This is probably one of my biggest pet peeve with the sex education. One that it's given younger and younger and younger. But sorry, where was that question? It's all the stuff about there we go there. Why oh why is vaginal and anal sex mentioned in the same breath? Why? Because as I told you, it's given equal billing, even though it should not. I don't think it should be taught. I just don't think it should be taught, and especially no with equal billing. You should, there might be the proviso. And by the way, a very small percentage of people are homosexual, and this is how they have sex. Maybe that's what they should say, but it shouldn't be equal billing. It shouldn't be 50-50 parity. It shouldn't be mentioned in the same breath. So we're going to come off the surveys for a minute and just sort of get back to you. I mean, this is a big problem here. And I mean, I might be wrong here, but I don't believe I am. The guy who wrote the RHCP, the sex education curriculum for schools, the guy who wrote that, the guy who was involved in the creation of this, was a guy, I believe, could be wrong, was a guy called Dr. Colin Morrison. And this is off of memory, guys. This is why I'm just doing this off the show, off memory here. I've not got any notes, any vision boards at all. It's all off the top of the noggin. Dr. Colin Morrison. And where does he work? Where was his office? I'll give you a few guesses, ladies and gentlemen. Where was Dr. Colin Morrison's office? Where was it? Where was it? Where was it again? Oh, it's a place that I have previously protested. Maybe that is a clue. Oh, of course. It's the Sandyford Gender Clinic. Do you understand now? Do you understand now? The same people that are writing the sex education manuals for schools are also housed in the Sandyford Gender Clinic. Are you starting to get it? I hope you are. Almost 400 viewers. I hope you're getting it. I hope you're beginning to understand, because we're just going to get worse here. Worse and worse and worse and worse. And we can't mention the SNP and Scottish Nonce Party Special. We can't have a show without our good friend. I take it back. The disgraced Derek Mackay. And by the way, just before the door does come off the hinges, I'm not alleging that this guy's a paedophile. I'm alleging, well, I don't need to allege it. I'm saying he's a few months away from being a paedophile. Which to me is no much a distinction, to be honest. Scottish Finance Secretary quits over messages to boy. Schoolboy. We can't have a Scottish Nonce Party Special without mentioning Derek Mackay. He's somehow escaped the Nonce label by a few months. By a few months, ladies and gentlemen. By the skin of his teeth. So, let's see what they said about Derek Mackay. And believe you me, Derek Mackay was one of the fastest risers in the SNP. He was tipped to become the next leader of the SNP before this happened. He was the finance secretary. He was writing the budgets. He was signing the checks. And he was tipped to become the next leader at the SNP. Why? Why is it? Did they know that he was into schoolboys? Was this news to them? Was this news to the SNP? I highly doubt it. Anyway, let's read about what this guy done. Mr. Mackay has been widely... Oh, there you go there. Mr. Mackay had been widely tipped to be the future First Minister. Can you believe it? So, someone tipped to be the future First Minister of Scotland was just at the same time messaging a 16-year-old boy on social media. I'll just let just let that sink in for a minute. And believe you me, this is just going to get worse and worse and worse and worse until you too come to the exact same conclusion as me. That not all SNP voters are paedophiles and nonces, but all paedophiles and nonces are SNP voters. You too will come to that conclusion at the end of this broadcast. Believe me. Anyway, Scottish Sun said Derek Mackay contacted the schoolboy over a 6-month period and told him he was cute. Oh, how nice of him. Mr. Mackay said he had behaved foolishly. I think that is the understatement of the century. The understatement of the century. And again, a 16-year-old boy. So he's escaped the label of paedophile, escaped the sex offenders register by a few months, a paltry few months. How very convenient. How very, very convenient indeed. Mr. Mackay said he behaved foolishly, again, understatement of the century, and took full responsibility for his actions. And he apologised unreservedly to the boy and his family. First Minister Nicola Sturgeon said she did not know about Mackay's unacceptable behaviour. Oh, I bet she didn't. I bet she didn't. Of course she didn't. How could St. Nicola know about creepy Derek Mackay? How could she know? Even though they were best buds. Even though he turned up and done an SNP conference pished. You couldn't write this behaviour. Honestly, they're a gaggle of freaks, the SNP. They really are. And to think that they don't all know about each other's sexual proclivities is just outrageous to think. Outrageous. They might have even encouraged it. They might have even encouraged it. She didn't know. St. Nicola didn't know about Mr. Mackay's unacceptable behaviour until Wednesday evening and is not aware of any further allegations against him. In a statement to the First Parliament, she confirmed that he has been suspended by the SNP. Police Scotland said it had not received a complaint of criminality, but was assessing available information and from media information. The force also asked for anyone with information to contact them. And the Scottish Conservative leader, Jackson Carroll, called on Mr. Mackay to stand down, saying his behaviour could constitute the grooming of a young individual. Oh, absolutely it could. Absolutely it could. Some guy, he's the finance secretary of the SNP. Basically sitting in charge. Third in charge, whatever it is. He's in the top bracket here. And he was tipped to be the next leader of the SNP and the next First Minister. And he's contacting young boys. And it could constitute the grooming of a young individual. I think that, again, is an understatement. I mean, it's just a whole slew of understatements here. Richard Leonard said it was an abuse of power and nothing short of pedantry. Again, bit of an understatement. Of course it was an abuse of power. Of course. You know what I mean? That's the easy thing to say. None short of predatory. Absolutely. But, you know, you're beginning to see the thread that I'm weaving here. The spider's web of people involved in this orbit. And of course, we will be talking about the Greens. Of course, they're coming up, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, they're coming up. I said we've already spent 40 minutes on this. Are you serious? I've not even gone through a couple tabs yet. This is crazy. Absolutely crazy. 400 odd viewers, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. I mean, you're all interested. I got, there's just 400 plus journalists waiting to pounce. Anyway, so this is Derek Mackay. How could we forget? How could we forget? And who else? I mean, this is, again, it's not particularly Nonce stuff, right? But it's similar type behaviour. It's the sex pestery. It's the which runs through the SNP. And again, I'm not accusing Patrick Grady of being a nonce. Of course I'm not. Just before the police bust my doors in. No. But again, you've got all this, and when there's just so many sex pests come out the SNP that it's actually hard to keep a handle on them. I'm forgetting as many as new ones coming out. That's the truth. That's the truth of the matter. There's more every other couple of days, and you forget about the old ones. So let's read a wee bit about Patrick Grady and his sexual proclivities, because I think the SNP just think they can get away with everything. SNP use public money to fund the settlement paid to victim of sex pest Patrick Grady. They've used our money to pay the victim of Patrick. How come it's no come out his pocket? How come it's no come out of Patrick Grady's pocket? Our investigation established the SNP agreed a 5-figure settlement deal with a young researcher. Young. Oh, there's that word again. Young researcher. There we go, Glenn Jackson saying it. Nonce adjacent at the least. At the very least. Nonce adjacent. A young researcher who was paid short money, taxpayers' cash given to all parties with SNPs at Westminster rather than funds collected from donors and members. The move has brought sharp criticism from other parties, with some demanding to know whether SNP did not use party funds. And of course, there's a lot of stuff about party funds in the SNP going about the now. Don't know if you know about a certain investigation called Operation Branch Farm, who Nicola Sturgeon's just conveniently hit the button on a rejector seat of her marriage to Peter Murrell. And there's plenty of rumours about Peter Murrell as well. Oh God, but I really don't want my doors panned in. I didn't want my door to come flying off the hinges when the cops put a big red key in, thanks to Peter Murrell. But there's plenty of rumours about him. Plenty. But we'll not go into that just yet. Well, maybe not at all, but Peter Murrell's got his own checkered history. I think that'll all come to the fore in maybe a few months' time. Maybe when the Operation Branch Farm finishes, then we'll see what sort of man Peter Murrell was. What's he spending the money on? Because it's not just camper vans. I can tell you that for certain. Anyway, so you're getting, this is Patrick Grady, young researcher, just highlight that there. Just sort of where you're starting to see this web that I'm sort of weaving here, Charlotte's Web. And then we get this story. Just recently in the press, I just seen this one from Steerpike at The Spectator. Ex-SNP sex pest slammed after landing top charity role. Oh, so he's landed on his feet. Patrick Grady, after all the things he's done, he's still managed to land on his feet. And you wonder why people like this always land on their feet? Is it because, and I'll just take this down to now, so you can see my glorious face again. Why would the SNP or any other sort of organisation take on Patrick Grady? No one is passed. Why would they do that? Why would they feel it was necessary to take on Patrick Grady? Why would they do that? Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. Is it because that he knows something? That he's privy to information? That he knows things about other people? That perhaps they think, oh, here you go, Patrick, shut up, we'll put you in charge of a charity. This is me speculating here. Just pure speculation, but again, we've got common themes sort of forming right in front of us here. Again, why would Patrick Grady be put in charge of a charity after this? And I bet, I hope it's not to do with children. I hope it's not to do with young researchers. But why? Why would they feel like they have to reward Patrick Grady? It's interesting, that, isn't it? So let's read what charity is this. To Scotland, where outrage is spreading after news of a former sex-pest politician has landed a top charity job. It transpires that disgraced ex-SNP MP Patrick Grady has been appointed a senior role at Scottish Government-funded charity. Of course, Scottish Government-funded charity. Again. So our public funds are going to Patrick Grady again. Not only was the public funds, our tax money, that went to his victim, but they're also gone to his actual wage the now. Why was Patrick Grady rewarded with this role? Why? Is it the revolving door? Is it a weird sex pest revolving door situation we have here in Scotland? And again, just to sort of go back for Derek Mackay. What did Derek Mackay do after he quit after being finance secretary? What did he do? Oh, well, he started up a consultancy firm, didn't he? Oh, that's what it was. I wonder if he's been rewarded with Scottish Government funds for his consultancy fund. I wonder. Anyway. What charity is it? That's all we want to know. Now that SNP's former chief whip has been made policy and communications chief at Scotland's International Development Alliance. I don't even want to know what that does. I just know it does nothing. I just know that it does absolutely nothing. He probably sends a few emails a day and collects a huge big paycheck. But really, me and you, the viewers, know that the most likely scenario is that he's paid to keep his body mouth shut. That's what me and the viewers, we are intrinsically connected. We know that he's paid, this payment that he's getting here, it's paid to duct tape his face shut so he doesn't say anything. Right, so who else is on the SNP naughty list? Who else? Oh, who else? Well, we've got a few. Let's see. Who else is on the naughty list? Oh. Who else is on the naughty list? Who else is on the sex pest list at the SNP. Oh, well, again, for those of you who have been in the trenches with me all this time, battling against the evil that is the SNP, you'll have known about the story. You have known. But it's Jordan Linden. Jordan Linden, former SNP councillor charged with multiple sexual offences. Oh, what could this have been about? Let's read on. Former leader of North Lanarkshire Council was charged. Oh, he's been charged, is he? The former leader of the North Lanarkshire Council. Why is this? Why is it that the SNP have got such a predilection for sex pestery? Why is it? Is that what gets you through the ranks of the SNP? Is that the initiation ceremony? Is this the hazing ritual to get into the SNP? You must be down. You must be down and dirty to get through the ranks. You must be able not to climb a greasy pole, but to dance round one. I mean, my mind's just full of absolutely disgusting images now that I've said that. Jordan Linden. Oh, dear God. Anyway, Jordan Linden, who stood down as leader of North Lanarkshire Council 2 years ago, is understood to be arrested and released on Wednesday. Man was arrested with a number of non-recent sexual offences committed at various locations in Scotland. Became a councillor for Bellshill Ward in 2017 local elections. Doesn't it say who his victims were? He continued serving as a councillor but resigned from both the council and the SNP last year. While we can't comment on the live proceedings, I'll see if I can find something about him while we move on. But I'm sure there's more. Jordan Linden. And who else have we got on the list? Who else do we have on the list? Bear with me, guys. There's just so many. I hate to start closing tabs. That's what I need to do. Right, that one's done. That one's done. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Ex-SNP Equalities Officer Cameron Downing, who wanted to beat up TERFs, jailed for sexual and physical assaults. See, the honey monster knows what's happening. See, get the comments in, ladies and gentlemen. It really does help the show along. It helps the show along and massively. You wouldn't understand. It's not compulsory to be a nonce in the SNP, but it clearly helps. Clearly helps. Ex-SNP Equalities Officer Cameron Downing, who wanted to beat up TERFs, jailed for sexual and physical assaults. Let's read on. If I can find the body tab. High Court in Edinburgh hears how Downing blackmailed a young man. Oh, there's that phrase again. There's that phrase again. Into maintaining a sexual relationship by threatening to falsely accuse him of a rape. Is this again? We've got more stuff. We've got more stuff. This is very similar to a man in, what was his name? A man in Edinburgh. We had him on the show a few weeks ago. Nathan Sparling. He was accused of exactly the same thing. I don't think his court's been. I don't think he's been to court for it yet. Or maybe no. It was he's been to court, but then I think he got the bastard's verdict. It's called here in Scotland. Not proven. Non-proven. So this seems to be a common tactic here in Scotland, you know, I'll say people rape you rape me. I mean, I'm laughing, but it isn't funny at the same time. This is quite serious. If you break up with me, I'm going to say you rape me. Is this the level of what was this title? Equalities officer? Equalities officer of the SNP? He was blackmailing a young man into maintaining a sexual relationship by threatening to falsely accuse him of rape. How very equality of him. Oh God, I shouldn't be laughing. I should not be laughing at this. But again, this seems to be a common tactic. This seems to be a tried and tested method of keeping a boyfriend, it seems. Anyway, there's that phrase again. Young man. Young man. How young? How young? And this is the High Court. Former SNP Equalities officer once told how he wanted to beat the fuck out of gender-critical feminists has been jailed for a string of sexual and physical assaults. By the way, see this phrase here as well. Let's just zoom in on this one for a while. Gender-critical feminists, otherwise known as people who can see reality for what it is. People who are brain damaged. Women who just, they've got eyes, they've got ears, they've got senses. That's what a gender critical feminist is. AKA women. Exactly, Honey Monster. You're starting to get it. Well, no, starting to get it. I'm sure you've always had it. Gender critical feminists. TERFs, as they call it in the biz. In the business of being absolutely brain damaged. The Crown Office and Procurator Fiscal Service branded Cameron Downing a dangerous individual whose predatory and manipulative behaviour has inflicted unimaginable trauma. Unimaginable trauma brought to you by Unimaginable Trauma, sponsored by SNP Equalities Officer. Are you starting to get it, ladies and gentlemen? Are you starting to understand? Are you picking up what I am putting down? The 24-year-old who is non-binary. No, he's not. And uses they, them pronouns. He, they, sorry. So he's schizophrenic. Sorry, guys. I should really have this up. The 24-year-old who is non-binary, ladies and gentlemen, whatever that is, well, it's a nonsense term. He uses he, they pronouns. And again, this is like weaponized schizophrenia. But they? What, is there multiple personalities in there, Cameron? Hello? Hello? There we go. Honey Monster's absolutely on a tear tonight. Non-brainery. It's a typo. Honey Monster, I'm loving you tonight, I must say. 24-year-old who uses non-binary. So this, again, think of this as well, right? The guy is only 24. This Cameron Downing. And yet he's into all this weird, heinous behaviour. Where's he learned it from? He's the SNP Equalities Officer. Is this how they behave in the office? Is this how they get down? Accusing people. I'll say you rape me if you break up. He targeted 6 male and female victims at addresses in Edinburgh. Holy damage. 6 victims. 6. In Edinburgh, Glasgow and Falkirk. So the guy is just absolutely terrorising the Central Belt. Terrorising the Central Belt. The High Court in Edinburgh heard how the former drama student... So he's a drama student as well, again. What is going on? These acting students who somehow make it into the SNP. He blackmailed a young man into maintaining a sexual relation. There's that phrase again. Young man. Give us the age. Maintaining a sexual relationship by threatening to falsely accuse him of rape. Now, how bad do you hate to be? How bad does the relationship have to get before you don't break up with them? It's like, I'm going to break up with you. I can't deal with you. You're terrorising the Central Belt, Cameron. I'm going to break up with you. Oh, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that because I'll tell people that you raped me. Christ almighty. Christ almighty. The victim told jurors he felt trapped by Downing's threat to tell the police, his friends, family and employer. So he went, I'll tell everyone. He also repeatedly sent the man threatening messages demanding he share his social media passwords. Are you real? He made threats to take their own life. Give me your Facebook password. I mean, I'm laughing, but again, I shouldn't be laughing because we've got the phrase here, unimaginable trauma. And I'm sorry to make little of this. I really am. Judge Alison Stirling told Downing, you presented with distorted views regarding intimate partner violence and you have shown no remorse or insight into how your actions may have affected your victim. So he looks like he's got a wee bit of the psychopathy. Perfect candidate to be the SNP Equalities Officer. Perfect candidate. You have the capacity to cause physical and sexual harm as well as emotional and psychological distress. Downing spent the trial denying any wrongdoing and claimed he was battling a complex mental health issues at the time of the abuse. Oh, how very convenient. Maybe it's tied in with the whole fact that if he's say that goes by not the he them pronouns, because of course that is in and of itself a mental illness. Oh, I feel like we need to take a break. There's so much stuff, but we've got so much stuff to plough through as well. We've not even got to the bad stuff yet, ladies and gentlemen. We've not even got nearly to the bad stuff. Michael Meehan, KC, defending, told the court how his client had suffered adverse childhood experiences. Adverse childhood experiences and endured homophobic and derogatory remarks at school. Adverse childhood experiences. Where have we heard that one before? Oh, if you are a regular listener to the Niall Fraser show, you will have heard me mention this phrase. This is what's called an ACE score. I'll bring it down for a second. I'll bring it down because this will be a good opportunity to educate the people who are on the broadcast right now. A good opportunity to educate. Way over 500 now. We're cruising towards 600 viewers, guys. Thank you. I mean, I would share the broadcast right now because we're getting right to the bad stuff. We're getting very close to the bad stuff. But this phrase, adverse childhood experiences. Now, this phrase came to me through a conversation I had with Anne-Marie Ward on, of all things, a Twitter space. Now, Anne-Marie Ward is known in Scotland for her stellar work in the field of addiction. Runs a charity called Favour UK. Now, what is an ACE score? Well, it's depending on how bad your quote-unquote adverse childhood experience is. I think it ranges to 1 to 5. You know, correct me if I'm wrong. But you've got these things called ACE scores. And one of the main things that we find in Scotland's addiction crisis, this spiralling out of control crisis that we've got here in Scotland, is the fact that we've got these adverse childhood experiences, which is another term. It's another way of saying that they've had something really bad happen to them when they were a child. For example, being molested, being groomed, being raped as a child. And of course, this would then lead to a drug addiction in later life. Now, this is, again, the Nonce party special, the paedophile special. All of this has a direct link to our current drugs death epidemic. And I've said it once, I'll say it again right this very minute. Scotland's drug death problem. We've got the most drug deaths in Europe. And I say that it's because we have the highest instance of child sexual abuse. That's me saying. And it's evidenced by the fact that most injecting drug users have high ACE scores. And it's just a fancy term that they use in the talking shops about people who have had really bad things happen to them when they were a child. And I'm going to put it out there again. These adverse childhood experiences often end up with a gay man at the end there. That's what happens. I mean, we're just giving you the whole enchilada of the night. But this is what happens. Somebody's abused, and then they go on to abuse in later life. And this is exactly what's happened in the case of Cameron Downing. He has been abused as a child. He's had an adverse childhood experience and has then went on to abuse. And these people, not only did it go on to abuse, high percentage of the time, but they also, a huge percentage of the time, go on to abuse drugs, especially injecting drugs. I mean, Honey Monster, this is the thing. It's an excuse because he got caught. Aye, you're right. At the same time, it's an excuse. But at the same time, this may be the root of why he is the way he is. You grow up thinking that this is the norm. You grow up thinking that abusing somebody else, abusing a minor, is the norm. And then you go on to think that you can do it to others. Horrible to think that we've got this cycle of abuse happening in our country. An abuser creating a future abuser. But that's the way I believe it goes. Last month, we'll get this back on the screen and we'll get on to some of the other stuff. Last month, a jury at the High Court in Edinburgh found Downing guilty of 10 charges: sexual, physical assault, assault to injury and domestic abuse. Handed a 9-year extended sentence on Tuesday. 6 years in prison, 3 years on licence, and released back into the community. Downing from Edinburgh also was added to the sex offenders register indefinitely and banned from contacting one of the victims. Oh, and what is that? What is this? What is this? Judge Sterling said Downing showed a hostility towards women, lack of concern for others, sexual preoccupation, and deviant sexual preference. This phrase could describe the entirety of the SNP. Hostile towards women, lack of concern for others, sexual preoccupation, and a deviant sexual preference. Isn't that the truth? That this statement by Judge Sterling this is summed up the SNP in its totality. Lack of concern for others, check. Hostility towards women, check. Sexual preoccupation, check. Deviant sexual preference, double check. Best mates with Harvey, he says. Well, we'll get to him in a minute. You have been assessed at being a high risk of sexual reoffending. You have relationship deficits. I think that's enough. I think that's enough, Cameron Downing, for one evening. Let me score him off the list. Jordan Linden, covered. Patrick Grady, covered. Derek Mackay, covered. Cameron Downing, covered. Now let's look at a thing called the named person scheme. Let's look at what that was. Let's share this tab. What was the named person scheme, you ask? Well, what was it? What was it? Well, Scottish Government has scrapped its controversial plan to appoint a named person to safeguard the welfare of every child in the country. Oh, because that's the only thing the SNP want, is to safeguard the welfare of every child in the country, which is a load of shite. Nicola Sturgeon herself said it was her main thing. I want to make it Scotland the best place for a child to grow up, but I won't address any of the reasons why it isn't the best place to grow up. In fact, I'll make it one of the worst places for a child to grow up in the world. The SNP have attacked children, attacked their mental health. They're still doing it. They're still furthering this transgender ideology, which is totally farcical, totally nonsense, totally fictitious. They imbued it into the law of Scotland. They're cultural terrorists, the SNP. The scheme, which was branded a snooper's charter by opponents, was due to be introduced 3 years ago. And believe you me, this if people didn't kick up fuck, this named person would have got through. If people didn't say, hold on a minute, what are you doing? It was delayed when a Supreme Court ruled that part of the plan breached human rights laws. They just come up with plans that just inherently breach human rights. They don't think twice. Education Secretary John Swinney has now confirmed he'll withdraw the named person legislation. Of course. Of course. And what the named person scheme done? What it done? You could go, a child could go to this person, the named person at the school, and keep secrets from their own family through this person, through this named person. which, I mean, the scheme itself has this feeling, this sort of thing running through it, this vein, this flowing river of thought that sort of suggests that somebody's family, somebody's parents are somehow a malign influence on their own children. The Conservatives said the move was a complete humiliation for the government. They called on Mr Swinney to apologise for the millions of pounds of taxpayer money that's been wasted. Again, all the money that's been wasted. We've not even touched money yet. We've not even touched it. And all the professionals on the front line who have been faced with endless bureaucracy around the policy. What happened to the named person scheme? The scheme would have seen a named person, usually a teacher or health visitor, act as a clear point of contact for every child from birth until the age of 18. Here's the honey monster again. Oh, the SNP are so caring. It's putting a tear in my eyes. Absolutely. They just care so much. They just care so much about the children. In its ruling in July 2016, the Supreme Court said the aim of the policy was unquestionably legitimate and benign, but the proposals around information sharing breached the rights of to privacy and a family life under the European Convention of Human Rights. The judge said the proposal meant it was perfectly possible that confidential information about a young person could be disclosed to a wide range of public authorities without either the child or young person or her parents being aware. Are you serious? This is what the SNP tried to introduce. That it was perfectly possible that confidential information about a young person, there is that phrase again. Young person. Just keeps coming up. Just keeps coming up. Everything we read about the SNP, it keeps coming up. Young person could be disclosed to a wide range of, information about a young person could be disclosed to a wide range of public authorities without either the child or young person or her parents being aware. So that's what the SNP tried to introduce and failed, ladies and gentlemen. The named person scheme. Adding more fuel to the fire of the Scottish Nonce party. But we have more, ladies and gentlemen. We have more. And let me find a tweet by someone before we go on, just to sort of, because it's really good. Although this guy tweets a lot. Let's go media. Sorry, folks, bear with me. That's the one. We'll keep that there. We'll keep that there for posterity. So we'll remove this now, and we'll go on to a thing called, right, let's kill this one. We don't need that. We're getting through. We're getting there. Bear with me, guys. I'm sorry. I'm not as prepared as I usually am. I was rushed off my feet today. Rush. We don't need the Jordan Linden stuff anymore. But we do need this. Now, here is where the story takes a devastatingly bad turn into the very dark, the very depraved, the type of people who should be, in my view, sent to death row. Never to return for jail, never to enter life, public life again, never to see the warm light of day. And again, if if you've been in the trenches with me, ladies and gentlemen, fighting the SNP as long as I have, maybe longer, you'll know about a man called James Rennie. Now, this is the cherry on top of the most disgusting cake ever created. Abuse ringleader James Rennie has his minimum sentence cut. So let's read about James Rennie and what he done. James Rennie will not necessarily be freed at the end of his 8.5-year minimum term. And believe me, 8.5 years, when you read what he done, if you know already what he done, 8.5 years should be 80.5 years minimum, and or the death penalty. And or, in fact, no and or, just definitely the death penalty. One of the ringleaders of Scotland's biggest paedophile network has had his minimum prison sentence cut by 4.5 years. So why is it? Why is it that the ringleader, one of the ringleaders of Scotland's biggest ever, ladies and gentlemen, not small term, and no these people who got jailed for Glasgow the other week, no these addicts that got jailed the other week, no, the ringleader of Scotland's biggest ever paedophile network has had his minimum prison sentence cut by 4.5 years. Who thinks this is a good idea? James Rennie is serving a life sentence for sexually assaulting a 3-month-old and for conspiring to get access to children in order to abuse them. 3 months old, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm telling you, I told you it was going to take a dark turn. Well, this is as dark as it gets. This is as dark as it gets. It doesn't get any darker than this. Conspiring to get access to children in order to abuse them. Rennie from Edinburgh was ordered to serve a minimum of 13 years in jail. Try 1,300 years in jail. See, if I was the law in Scotland, well, one, it would be the death penalty. But 13 years in jail for sexually abusing a 3-month-old infant? No. You don't get to leave jail. You don't get to leave jail. No, in my Scotland, no way. Appeal judges have reduced that to a minimum of 8.5 years before he can apply for parole. James Rennie could serve a minimum of 8.5 years and then be out after sexually assaulting a 3-month-old infant. How is this possible? After being the ringleader of Scotland's biggest ever paedophile network, he had his sentence reduced. Why? Who thought that was a good idea? We wish to make it clear that that does not mean he will be released after that period. Well, of course they have to say that. Rennie was convicted in 2009. So, I mean, 2009, it may seem like a long time ago, but actually, this is in the very recent past, along with 7 others on the sex abuse charges. Neil Strachan, Edinburgh. Colin Slavin, Edinburgh. Neil Campbell, John Milligan, John Murphy, all from Glasgow. Ross Webber, North Berwick. Craig Boff, Dundee. Betrayed the trust to his victims, a truly appalling extent. You can say that again. Oh, and now we get to where I'm going. Rennie was the chief executive of LGBT Youth Scotland, which offers advice. Advice! They offer advice to young gay and lesbian people. And I was on a phone call earlier on, and somebody told me, now I couldn't find any information on this, but James Rennie was once in the Scottish Parliament advising the Scottish Parliament on education. James Rennie, the chief executive of LGBT Youth Scotland, also the ringleader of Scotland's largest ever paedophile network, who was found guilty and sentenced to a life imprisonment, was in the Scottish Parliament. I have it on good authority. Could be wrong, but I couldn't find any information on it. But not for this evening. I didn't have time to dig deep enough, to be honest. But I bet if I dig, I'll find it. That James Rennie was in the Scottish Parliament advising the Scottish Government on education. Advising Shona Robinson on education. Now, I've not got any what do you call it? I've not got any, newspaper articles. I couldn't find anything. But again, I've just not been digging deep enough. I didn't have time to dig deep enough. But that is what I was told over the phone. The mother of the boy who Rennie sexually assaulted said, previously we could factor in our son being a lot older when James Rennie is released. And I think that brings closer for the potential for him to be released. It brings it into a greater reality for us to have to factor in as to how we deal with that. But let's focus on the LGBT Youth Scotland element of this. An organisation that still exists to this day, that is still in schools all across Scotland to this day. To this day, they operate right across Scotland and receive government funding. They receive our taxpayers' funds, the public funds, they receive it in order to put LGBT training modules all across schools in Scotland. And this is why you see all the school teachers, you see all the parliamentarians, you see all these companies that run around with these rainbow lanyards as if they're paragons of virtue, when in reality the rainbow has been so desecrated by this LGBT cult that the rainbow it's been disfigured beyond recognition. The rainbow, when children look up at the sky these days and they see a rainbow, they say, "Mummy, mummy, the sky's gay." That's what the rainbow represents now. Thanks to the work of LGBT Youth Scotland. They've ruined rainbows for everyone. I can't look at a Pink Floyd album without thinking about these creeps. But there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. LGBT Youth Scotland, and they're so heavily involved in schools and education. They weren't asked to disband. Their funding didn't get cut. They still operate. They just didn't know that their CEO was abusing 3-month-old infants. They just didn't know. And here, let's share this one. Oh, here's LGBT Youth Scotland. Their statement. on our history, our rich history, safeguarding, and the media. Oh, they're just safeguarding the LGBT plus, Q plus community. Again, it's like code words for we are insane. TQ plus. People can be lesbian, people can be gay. They say people that are bi are just greedy. But TQ plus, it's just mental illness. Always has been, always will be. Anyway, let's read their statement. The community has always needed and sought safe spaces to be themselves. This is especially the case for young LGBTQ plus people, and LGBT of Scotland is proud to be one such space. But what they don't tell you is that people have been picked up and groomed from spaces like theirs. What they don't tell you is that they run workshops for people that are underage. You see what I'm saying here? Are you picking up what I am putting down? What was that? LGBT Youth Scotland began as an independent youth group in 1989, becoming a national charity. LGBT Youth Scotland in 2003. Since then, LGBT Youth Scotland has continued to grow and evolve as a charity. It's just, it's grown a couple extra letters. And it's evolved into a juggernaut, a rainbow juggernaut that is, which in my contention, in my view, and I'm saying these things just to safeguard myself, just to create a safe space for myself, and that they're harming the mental health of youth right across Scotland, and I believe that they know they're doing that as well. And these groups that are set up, I've had conversations with people, victims that have been groomed from these groups. They do exist. In fact, they do exist, and they're very vocal about just how bad LGBT of Scotland is. And I would go as further to say that if you're a parent and you're watching this right now, and there might be many parents watching this right now, 700 viewers, that don't let your children go to one of these workshops. Just don't. It's not worth the risk. They might have questions about their sexuality. But don't, if it was me, don't allow them anywhere near one of these LGBT of Scotland groups. Just don't. I've got a comment in here. Someone that I haven't seen before. This comes down to local and national leadership that funds and endorses programs like LGBT of Scotland, but also the voters who put these leaders in positions of authority. How do we stop it? Great question, Andrew, and thank you for your comment. How do we stop it? Well, we need more information about just this history of LGBT of Scotland. I think, in reality, if they've been in operation since 1989, becoming a national charity in 2003, then they should be allowed to stand on their own two legs. They shouldn't need Scottish Government funding in order to compel people to their rainbow will. They shouldn't need it. How do we stop it? Well, we're halfway there. We're doing a broadcast tonight. It's titled The Scottish Nonce Party, for crying out loud. The SNP truly hate me. They despise my guts. If they could have me killed, they would. They absolutely hate me. But we'll continue to do this. Honestly, the best way to stop it, I believe, is to just expose we're doing what I'm doing now. We're pointing at all these different things. Because I know, although a lot of my viewers will know that all the sordid history of LGBT of Scotland, but a lot of you won't. A lot of you won't know. A lot of you won't know that James Rennie, who was given a life sentence for abusing and sexually assaulting a 3-month-old infant, a lot of you won't know that he was the CEO, the chief executive of LGBT Youth Scotland. And they just offer advice to gay and lesbian people. I mean, are you seriously telling me that James Rennie didn't use the charity in order to accrue victims? Are you seriously suggesting that this wasn't the perfect opportunity in which to pick up confused, shy, questioning young people, in huge quotation marks, as victims? You seriously suggesting that this it's hard to believe otherwise, isn't it? Anyway, we'll read through this and then we'll get on to another organisation which started in Edinburgh, because I can hear the wee man greeting upstairs and we'll have to finish soon. The landscape for LGBT plus young people has changed and developed substantially. Yes, I told you, they've earned a couple of letters. It's plus XYZ now over the past 35 years. Yes. It's previously there was 2 genders, now there's infinite amount. It's changed, it's developed substantially. In that time, LGBT Scotland has supported significant milestones. The abolition, the campaign for marriage equality, supporting 1,000 young people each year through our youth work. However, we recognise that historically there have been challenges. Previously, Chief Executive James Rennie was convicted in 2009 as a ringleader in Scotland's biggest paedophile network. This is on their page. This is on their website. Yep, I know. We know our previous chief executive was also the biggest ringleader, a ringleader of Scotland's biggest ever paedophile network. We know. Shut up about it. We know. But the criminal investigation found no link between Mr. Rennie's criminal behaviour and his work within the charity. Well, if it was me, I would suggest that the criminal investigation didn't look hard enough. Am I wrong to think that? Well, if I'm wrong to think that, then I'm wrong, because I do think that. Just truly astonishing stuff. So, what have we covered today? What have we covered? And by the way, this charity still operates. Not only does it still operate, it's in every school. In fact, let's see if we can find it on their website. About us. Corporate partnerships. Purple Friday. We can donate to them. About us. What do they do? Where is education? Let's see what education brings up. The charter. This is the one I was looking for, ladies and gentlemen. The charter. Let's read more. Oh, I'm not signing up. No way. Look at this image. Look at this image. The LGBT Charter for Education. Are you serious? This is the image that they use. This is like a picture that I would use if I wanted to entice people into a cult. I mean, just take this image in, soak it in. The LGBT Charter for Education. This should turn off every school in the land. I don't want my child ending up like that. Do you want your child ending up like that? Is this what they're educating for? What is this supposed to represent? Is this image here supposed to represent ample peak mental health? Is this what we're supposed to believe for this image? That this is helping somehow with people's mental health? I mean, how you can take that, it's just insane. I'm not setting up. But what I did want to find on it was this thing with the schools. Professionals, maybe this is it. Or they do awareness training. They do supporting inclusive workspaces. What I wanted to find, ladies and gentlemen, was, let's read it. The LGBT Charter is a straightforward program that enables your organisation to proactively include LGBT plus people, Q plus, in every aspect of your work, protecting your staff, providing high quality services for your students, customers, or service users, providing high quality rainbow lanyards for all your employees. But I'm just going to say it off by memory, but they had bronze, silver, and gold packages that they would offer to schools. It's like, it's a total shakedown. They go into schools and shake them down for rainbow money. They say, if your school's not got an LGBT accreditation, then what kind of school are you? What kind of school are you? So they shake schools down. So us as the Scottish government, us as the Scottish people, fund the Scottish government. They then fund LGBT Youth Scotland. And then LGBT Youth Scotland, which is funded by us, goes and shakes down another public authority, a school, and shakes them down for money in some weird rainbow circular fashion. Isn't it strange? Isn't it strange? The story of LGBT Youth Scotland, ladies and gentlemen, headed up by the ringleader of Scotland's biggest ever paedophile network. Which brings me to this tab, which will be because this ties into our green-fingered friend, our brown-fingered friend, Patrick Harvey. So, the paedophile information exchange. You're thinking, what the hell is that? That sounds absolutely despicable. Well, of course it was. It was a pro-paedophilia activist group. And Patrick Harvey, if you're listening, yes, we're going there. Yes, we're going there. Founded in October 74, disbanded in 84, the group campaigned for the abolition of the age of consent. You're like, hold on a minute. This is radical. Described by the BBC in 2007 as an international organisation of people who trade obscene material And here is the name that we want to look at. PI was set up as a special interest group within the Scottish Minorities Group by founding member Michael Hansen, a gay student living in Edinburgh, who became the group's first chairman, and co-founder Ian Dunn, who was also the founder of Scottish Minorities Group. Although Hansen did not identify as a paedophile, his sexual relationship with a 15-year-old and the disparate age of consent laws for heterosexuality and homosexual activity made Hansen sympathise with paedophile advocacy. Although he didn't identify as a paedophile, his relationship with a 15-year-old would suggest otherwise. I mean, come on, ladies and gentlemen, who the hell wrote this crap? But Ian Dunn, activist, Scottish gay rights, paedophilia campaigner, Scottish Minorities Group. And what I tried to find, and I might have to use different search engines because it just won't find it for me, guys. You have to use the different search engines. Oh, see, all it took was to use a different search engine. Google didn't want to know. They didn't want to know. And let's find Patrick Harvey. Here we go. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's share the hell out of this tab. And this is where we're going to end tonight. In fact, I'll play my video just for sort of to sum everything up. But on the left, in the orange t-shirt, is Stud Muffin Ian Dunn. Look at him. He looks like he's just crawled out from under a rock. He just looks like he's crawled out from under a bridge. And who's that? 2 pictures over. Oh, well, it's Patrick Harvey. Apologies if you can hear a baby crying in the background. We'll have to wrap this up in the next 10 minutes. Green Coke and Mina, Patrick Harvey, on the right, received an Ian Dunn Memorial Award. It received a memorial award. What is it? An award for services to paedophilia? What kind of award is PI handing out? The Paedophile Information Exchange. What's going on? That's not Ian Dunn, that's John Hine, sorry. Just get mixed up here. But isn't it funny? And everyone, has Patrick Harvey handed his award back? Is it on his mantelpiece? Is it in pride of place in his dungeon? Who knows where he keeps this award? But to my knowledge, he hasn't returned it. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There you have it. The Scottish Nonce Party, the SNP Scottish Nonce Party special. And I did say it was going to be quite dark. We've got absolutely a thunderous amount of viewers tonight, guys. Thank you very much. We're almost approaching 1,000. I mean, it's almost 800 right here live. And if you're on live right now on YouTube, I mean, we've got almost 800. There's only 4 people on YouTube. It just shows you the disparity there. I mean, X just seems to be the way forward. But if you YouTube guys could give me a like, that would be very much appreciated. It's been a long man night, almost 2 hours. But let's finally watch the video that I played. No, this is how we're going to end. This is a perfect ending, actually. And I'm glad that I remembered this before I just started firing away. But a few weeks ago, Andrew Bridget, and this is where we'll cap it off. This is where we'll have a nice summation to this evening. Andrew Bridget was on Alex Jones. Don't know if you know who Alex Jones is, but he's probably got the biggest show on X. Of course, he's a controversial figure, but he's got one of the biggest shows on the planet Earth. And Andrew Bridgen was once a Tory Conservative MP. He was in Westminster, and he was one of the guys who had the balls to stand up against the COVID lockdown tyranny, against the vaccine harms. When nobody else, when all the vaccine injured were saying, hey, please help us, please. Every time I try to speak about the injury that I got from my vaccine, nobody hears me. But Andrew Bridgen heard them. And he was one of the only people to stand up against him. Well, he was on Alex Jones. And he mentioned Scotland. No, it's not very often you're on the Alex Jones show and Scotland pops up. So the ears creep up a bit. So what did Andrew Bridgen have to say about Scotland on the Alex Jones show?
Can you elaborate on this more and repeat what you said?
The children are coming into the UK through various ways. Some are coming into small airports which don't have a perimeter fence. Some are coming in actually with false paperwork. I believe the false identities are being created in Moldova from Ukraine, and they're coming in with false IDs on normal passenger aircraft, and some are coming in bulk into Scotland and coming into the UK that way. This is an industrial scale child trafficking to feed the worst people in our society, paedophiles, and there's no way that it can be done without the knowledge of people in very, very high positions of power. And all I'll say is that whenever I tried to raise these issues and get action against it, all you get is pushback. Go back to the police, the people who ignored you to start with when you handed over the evidence. It's just a live, die, repeat moment, and nothing ever happens. And you never get hold of these paedophiles while they're alive. You only get them when they're dead, because dead men tell no tales.
Well, what an astonishing statement that is. Andrew Bridgen alleging that an industrial scale child trafficking ring is creating paperwork for children over in Moldova and flying them in bulk into Scotland. Just to cap off tonight's episode. Just to cap it off. Andrew Bridgen. And we'll play it again. We'll play it one more time because I think it's very important. And John Swinney, if you are listening, John, do you know about this? Are you going to accept Andrew Bridgen and his accusation? Are you going to accept the accusation that there's bulk child trafficking going on in Scotland? John, if you're listening, John, if any of your spads are listening, if any of the journalists are listening, or is anyone going to address this accusation that we've got industrial scale child trafficking that are being flown in bulk into Scotland? Is anyone going to address this? Are you just going to ignore it? How can you possibly not know? One, John, if you do know, you're culpable by your silence. But two, John, if you don't know, what the hell are you doing? How are you First Minister? How is this possible that this could go on and you don't know? Under your nose. Supposed to be the First Minister of Scotland. How could you possibly allow this to happen? This is an extraordinary allegation, John. If you're listening, if somebody could get the message to him, this is an incredible accusation, John. please address this. We can't have this notion that there's an industrial scale child trafficking ring, that children are being flown in bulk into Scotland, and no have a statement from the First Minister. Either way, denying it happens or saying we're going to do something about this. So if you're listening, John, I hope you are, this you're guilty both ways. If you don't know about it, you're equally as culpable as if you do, because you should know about it. And I mean, how can you possibly not know? It's Scotland. It's a small place. How many airports have we got? And if you don't address it, John, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go around every single airfield that Scotland's got, every conceivable place somebody could land a plane, and I'm going to put cameras up everywhere to make sure it doesn't happen. And if it is happening, I'll expose it. That's what I'll do, John. So you better get it under control. Right, I've said what I've got to say, folks. That's been the SNP Nonce special. We'll play this Andrew Bridgen clip one more time before we hit the outro music. But just to end all it all, after everything that you've learned through this broadcast, if you've been with me for the start, God bless you. But this is the tip of the iceberg is Andrew Bridgen telling us that they're flying children in bulk into Scotland. Watch it one more time, and then we're going to hit the outro. One more time.
Can you elaborate on this more and repeat what you said?
The children are coming into the UK through various ways. Some are coming into small airports which don't have a perimeter fence. Some are coming in actually with false paperwork. I believe the false identities are being created in Moldova from Ukraine, and they're coming in with false IDs on normal passenger aircraft, and some are coming in bulk into Scotland and coming into the UK that way. This is an industrial scale child trafficking to feed the worst people in our society, paedophiles, and there's no way that it can be done without the knowledge of people in very, very high positions of power. And all I'll say is that whenever I tried to raise these issues and get action against it, all you get is pushback. Go back to the police, the people who ignored you to start with when you handed over the evidence. It's just a live, die, repeat moment, and nothing ever happens. And you never get hold of these paedophiles while they're alive. You only get them when they're dead, because dead men tell no tale.
And isn't that the story of the UK, isn't it? Isn't that the story of the UK that Andrew Bridgen telling us? We only really hear about people's crimes once they've died. And then it all comes spilling out. And then all the people come saying, oh, we knew it all this time along. We knew it all along. Well, we've reached the end of our journey this evening for the SNP Nonce Party Special. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. I hope you've learned something. And I hope you'll be vigilant. More to the point, I hope you'll be vigilant to just the level of grooming that's happening here in Scotland, whether it's just direct grooming or indirect grooming for this LGBT indoctrination. Right, folks. It's been a long one for me. It's been quite emotionally taxing. Got a bit annoying there at the end. Thanks for your courage and resilience. Keep up the good work. Thank you. I will. Right, folks. It's been a pleasure, but I can't leave without giving you the outro music. So you join us again on Friday. We'll have another show. I won't be here, not this Friday coming, but next Friday, because it is at Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day next Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Or just gentlemen. By the way, it's Valentine's Day. Right, folks. Thanks for joining me. Again, absolutely incredible viewership today. If you feel the need, you can support me at the link. Although you don't feel any obligation that you need to. What I would say, if you don't, is which is 99.999% of folk, just hit jump onto the YouTube channel. You'll find it in my profile. I'm starting to sort of premiere my videos on YouTube before I put them anywhere else. But other than that, that's the way to get me. If you have any information about this, feel free to DM me. Everything that you send, everyone who's got any information will remain completely anonymous. You have my word, my guarantee on that. And we can expose as much as we possibly can. Right, folks. Again, thanks everyone for listening. We're capped out at 800 viewers. Absolutely fantastic. I knew this was going to be a big show tonight. I knew this was going to be quite emotionally taxing because there was just so much to go through. Just so much to go through. But it's sayonara for me, guys. Enjoy the outro music and enjoy the rest of the evening. And I hope you have a great Thursday morning. Well, the Holy Thursday, but I hope you have a great Thursday. Wrong one. That's the countdown. Hit the intro music you're saying.